Imagine it's 1939. You're sitting in a theater and you're about to watch, for the very first time, a movie in Technicolor. Now, open your eyes. What does that look like? Does it look like this? Hey guys, I'm Melanie. Welcome back. Today it's all about adding color to our cardboard creations. So I hope you've been working on your cardboard and you're all ready to see what's next. So when I say color, that means a lot of different things. What kind of color? This kind of color. Yeah, there are a lot of choices here, and there are also a lot of choices out there. So really, you're going to come up with your own choices, and maybe you'll like some of mine, and maybe what I show you will make you think of something else that you would like to do. And that's the whole point of all of this. What do you need? Well, you need a few things. It's always good to have clean water, because if you're going to paint. I have some scraps of fabric, and I already chose these because look how well they go with my image. Nice, right? I also have a scrap pack, which is filled with scraps of paper that can add some texture to your picture. I have some glue. I have Mod Podge. A lot of people say Mod Podge. It's Mod Podge. This is very good for fabric. I use this a lot for my fabric projects. It's a nice sealer as well. Blick acrylic paint, a liquid acrylic paint. I'm not going to make an advertisement out of this, but I will say that I buy most of my art supplies at Dick Blick because this is affordable and it's really versatile. It's liquid acrylic, so it's much easier to work with in a lot of different projects. So just keep that in mind. Paper towels are always good to have, especially when you're painting. I have a variety of some brushes, a wide flat brush and a round brush, and I go over brushes in my brushes video. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. Here's a smaller flat brush, and I have a variety of some smaller brushes for detailed work. Then I have a couple of utility brushes for the Mod Podge and the glue. Alright, I also have some soft pastels and some oil pastels, just in case. I always like to have a variety of things to show you, even if I don't use them. Oh, don't forget, you might need some tracing paper. It's always nice to have to make your patterns for your fabric. And we've got some printed paper that I printed with a roller, a stamp roller, and also just colored paper of sorts. Lots of variety of color. I thought these would be good for the tree in my picture. Barely there, a little bit more on my cardboard than it is here. And a palette. You can see I already have paint on it. This is just a lid. You don't need a fancy palette. And let's see. I think we're ready to go. So the first thing we need to do is, I had debated whether to glue down my pieces that I cut out for my pillar, but I have decided I am going to glue them down first. There we go. I'm going to show you how to whitewash your picture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to water down. Now, this paint is already liquid. If you buy acrylic paint in a bottle, it's much thicker. So we're already ahead of the game, but I'm going to add some water to my paint until I feel like it's somewhat transparent, but still offers a bit of a prime to my picture. I finished putting my whitewash over my picture. It doesn't have to look pretty. It's not for any other purpose than to add a little bit of coverage to the brown of your cardboard. I had decided that I really liked this particular fabric. It was perfect for this section here. Now, I don't want to do that to my whole building because I really have fun with it. I'm going to just really quickly show you what I did here. So the first thing I did was I took my tracing paper and I placed it right in the section that I wanted to cover with fabric. What I did was I turned over the fabric so it's on the back side, and I marked my pattern on the front side so I knew which was which. So I've turned my fabric over, therefore I've turned my pattern over as well, and then I traced around it. So then I cut it I have cut out the fabric and I've placed it on the spot, the overhang in the cafe. And now I'm thinking what I want to do next. I don't think it's a good idea to glue on anything until you're sure that's where you want it and you don't want to do anything else to it. The thing about putting Mod Podge over the top of the fabric is it's kind of sealed after that, so it's not as easy to work with. You can paint over it, it just has a different effect. So I'm going to choose to actually take this and put it over there. I want to add some shadows underneath the overhang. And I've chosen, it's kind of a sienna, raw sienna. I think that I would like to use this a little bit to create a shadow. Yeah, that gives it some nice texture. Okay, looks kind of nice. Alright, so I'm not going to glue this down, but I'm just going to stick it on there just so we can get an idea of what it looks like. Like that. So the next thing I want to show you is what I decided to do with the tree. So I'm going to use this, and what I did, I started cutting it out already. Again, I used some tracing paper and I put it over the area where the tree is, and if you look at this you can kind of see it. What I started to do is I just traced around the tree kind of like this, and then I cut out just the shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, so we'll leave that for now. I can always change it. That's the beauty of this, is this is mine. This is mine to change any way I want. And the same for you. You can change yours any way you want as well. All right, the next part, I'm going to focus on my pillar here. And if we're looking at the picture and we're thinking about, do we want to keep it the same? Do we want to change it up? I like how that looks. I like the blue in there. So I think I'm going to go with it. So I have some paint here, my acrylic paint, and I have a little blue, and my brush is pretty dry. Now the thing about acrylic is you don't want your brush to be super wet because the paint's wet, and if you get it too wet it gets real soupy, unless you're doing kind of a wash situation like we did in the beginning. So what I like to do is I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to this blue, just a little, because otherwise it's going to turn wickedly green, and we don't want it wickedly green. I prefer to mix my colors. Now, I'm not mixing until it's really perfect. I want that variation in color. So now I'm going to grab a little bit of white, just a little to begin with, and I'm just going to leave it on my brush, just like this. Down here on the edge, it's pretty dark. So I'm going to take, I might need some more paint. Because it's in this isn't showing in my version, but up here you can see it is a little darker. So I'm not going to use a lot of black, but I am going to use a little and grab the edges of my blue and just mix it in there a little bit. I really don't want to get my brush wet, so I'm going to grab some paper towel real quick, just get some of that black. I don't need to get all of it out. And then again, go back with my blue. So I always tell my students, now don't worry too much if you're trying to, learn about another artist and you're copying a bit. You're not going to have the original next to the picture. My brush is a little wide. That's all right. No big deal. So I'm going to go back with my blue. Okay, cool. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the tops of my tables. If you can see here. And they're kind of a yellow, but they're not bright yellow. So we're going to add a little yellow, a little blue, and a little white. I want them to be pretty pale. There are more tables in the actual painting than there are here. And I may still add some more with paint, but right now I'm not going to. Alright, so as you can see, I added some sky and what I think is probably an apartment up there, and I used acrylic paint for both of those. For the sky, I mixed in what is called phthalo cyanide blue or phthalo blue, and it tends to be transparent, so be careful. You might want to add a different blue with it, a little bit at a time, just to make it a little bit more opaque, or you're going to have trouble covering a surface. So I've got my different blues, and again I added just a little bit of yellow just to make it a little bit more like turquoise. Again, it's really in how you see it and you're not doing what I'm doing. Well, that is the end of our Cardboard Crazy series. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will try this because it really is a lot of fun. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure that you like this video and this series, and be sure to subscribe so you'll know when the next video is coming out. See you next time.